I never thought betrayal could come from the person I trusted most. The woman I married, the one I thought I'd grow old with, wasn't just unfaithful. She went further. She reached into the one thing sacred to me, my family savings fund, money my father had worked decades to build. And she used it to hide a life I never knew she was living. It started small, as these things always do. Strange withdrawals, receipts that didn't add up. I wanted to believe they were mistakes, that maybe the bank had made an error. But when I looked closer, I saw her handwriting on the withdrawal slips. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I waited. I documented every cent, every transfer, every late-night business meeting she said she couldn't avoid. Weeks later, the truth hit me harder than I could have imagined. My wife wasn't just stealing money. She was using it to cover medical appointments, clothes, and expenses for a child that wasn't mine. She had secretly given birth months earlier, passing it off as a miscarriage to me, while quietly building a hidden life with her partner from work. The night I discovered it, I sat alone in my truck, holding the proof in my hands. Bank statements, photographs, even a copy of the hospital record that had her name on it. The child's father was listed clearly. Not me. That single page shredded 15 years of marriage into nothing but lies. When I walked back into our house, the air felt different. I looked at her across the kitchen table, the same table where we'd once dreamed about vacations and building a future together. Now all I saw was someone who had gutted my trust and laughed about it behind closed doors. "You're quiet tonight," she said, sipping her wine without a care in the world. "Just tired," I answered, though inside my chest burned. I needed to be careful. I needed to be patient. Revenge isn't served by shouting. It's served by letting someone believe they're in control, until the moment they're not. For weeks, I played the role of the clueless husband. I went to work, came home, and nodded along while she told me stories about her long hours and demanding clients. All the while, I was recording conversations, collecting evidence, and slowly piecing together the puzzle. She thought she was clever, but she didn't realize she was leaving behind digital footprints, emails, texts, payments, all leading straight back to her. The breaking point came when she asked me to co-sign papers that would legally tie me to her new child. She framed it as a safety net, saying it was about protecting the family. But I knew what it really was, a trap. Once I signed, I'd be financially locked to a child that wasn't mine, funding her affair partner's life while she kept playing the role of a successful, sophisticated professional. I smiled and told her I'd think about it. That night, while she slept peacefully beside me, I packed a small bag, took the evidence I had gathered, and left. I didn't leave with sadness. I left with purpose. The next morning, I was sitting in a lawyer's office downtown. She was seasoned, sharp, and wasted no time. "You've got more than enough," she told me after reviewing the documents. "This isn't just infidelity. This is financial betrayal. We'll make sure she answers for every cent she took." The plan moved quickly after that. I froze the remaining family fund, redirected my paycheck into a new account, and filed the necessary papers. But that wasn't the end. See, I wasn't content with just leaving her. I wanted her lies exposed in the same way she'd exposed me to humiliation. It started with her partner, a man she described to her friends as dependable, the one she supposedly built her future around. I reached out to him, not with threats, but with the truth. I sent him copies of the same bank records, the hospital documents, the messages where she admitted to using both of us in different ways. Within hours, he called her, furious, demanding answers. Their perfect little fantasy cracked before my eyes. But I wasn't done. At a family dinner a week later, I laid everything on the table. My parents, her sister, they all heard the truth. The stolen fund, the hidden child, the years of deceit. I didn't need to raise my voice. The silence in that room, the way her family looked at her with disbelief and disappointment, that was louder than any shouting could have been. She tried to explain. She said it was complicated, that she had needs I couldn't understand. But her words were empty. Her parents, once her biggest supporters, sat in stunned silence. My father, the man who built that savings fund with his bare hands, shook his head and left the room without saying a word. She followed me outside afterward, her voice trembling. "We can fix this," she pleaded. "Don't throw everything away over one mistake." "One mistake?" I asked quietly. "You stole from my family. You lied about life and death. You brought another man's child into this world and tried to make me carry the burden. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." For the first time, she had no answer. The divorce moved swiftly after that. She lost more than she ever thought possible. Her reputation, her comfort, her carefully constructed image. The man she thought would stand by her walked away the moment he realized she wasn't building a future with him, but using him as another pawn in her game. Months later, she called me, her voice small, broken. She said she was struggling, that the life she'd envisioned had crumbled. She asked if I could help, if I could give her another chance, for the sake of the child. But by then, I was a different man. I'd rebuilt myself brick by brick, from the ground up. I didn't need her apologies, and I didn't need revenge anymore. Because the greatest revenge was simple: walking away with my dignity, while she was left with nothing but the wreckage she had created. I hung up the phone without another word. That night, as I stood outside watching the city lights flicker in the distance, I finally understood something. Home isn't about walls or savings or even the vows you think will last forever. It's about peace. And peace is something I'd never find with her. For the first time in years, I felt free.